Hi everyone. It's time for one of those videos again, where I just sit here and talk off the cuff about something stupid I found on the internet, or, well, I was sent something stupid. The Trolling with Logic guys always send me everything stupid they find, and, well, this time it wasn't Cal, it was actually Ziller. Disproof of gravity. The standard particle model has yet to find any evidence of gravity. That's gravity. I think what you mean is the standard model does not offer a complete explanation of gravity. Yeah, this is not starting well. This is most concerning since gravity is used by most modern equations. No. It's not used in any equations in quantum mechanics, as far as I know, because it doesn't fit in. It just, gravity doesn't work with quantum mechanics. It's not used anywhere in electromagnetic theory. It's... wow. I mean, this is... 2 sentences in. Great particle accelerators have hunted for any signs of gravity. None found. You don't need a particle accelerator to do that. There are several ways to disprove gravity. 1. Experimentally. Oh, this should be fun. One simple experiment shows there is no gravity. The helium balloon. It rises. How is this possible? Air pushes it up because the air is... Classical mechanics shows that force equals the constant of gravity multiplied by the mass of object 1 multiplied by the mass of object 2 divided by the distance between the two masses raised to the second power. Yes. With this logic, the mass of the Earth is so great that the helium balloon would have no choice but to be attracted to the Earth. It is. We have mass 1 pulling on mass 2 and mass 2 pulling on mass 1. F1 equals F2. This is just wrong. The force of the balloon that pulls the Earth is not equal to the force that pulls on the balloon. Yes, it is. It wouldn't rise. No, not if those are the only 2 objects in the experiment. You're forgetting the air. What we see in the experiment is that the helium is rising to meet its level of density. Yeah, and meet its level of density. What the hell does that mean? But yeah, it has to do with density, but it doesn't matter if you have just the helium balloon and the Earth. You need the air as well. And why is the air attracted to the Earth more than the balloon is? Well, because gravity! It would be too easy to use the standard desert file clip, okay? I'm not gonna do that. Commutative. The mathematics of gravity is a concept called zero-point mass. No, the mathematics of gravity is not a mass. I don't know what you're talking about. This is a math This is a mass without volume. No, the mathematics is not a mass without volume, you moron. This is not found in the universe. Your point being, the main problem here is the reduction of three-dimensional densities to zero-dimensional masses. How can a mass be zero-dimensional? It has the dimension of mass. That's 1. Once a density reduces to a mass, the mass cannot be returned to its original shape of the density. What the hell are you talking about? So we cannot cube a 0 and get anything but another 0. But who says it has 0 mass? What are you talking about? This breaks the commutative properties of addition. What? Let's look at some of the equations and how gravity fails at a fundamental level. F equals ma. Force equals mass times acceleration. Yes. We have a zero-dimensional mass. No, we have a one-dimensional mass. It has the dimension of mass. A two-dimensional vector times a two-dimensional vector. No, acceleration doesn't have 2 dimensions unless it's in 2-dimensional space. And that does not equal a 3-dimensional field. No. What's your point? It's not supposed to. A force in a 3-dimensional space is a 3-dimensional vector. Acceleration in 3-dimensional space is a 3-dimensional vector. Mass is a scalar. A scalar times a vector is just the vector multiplied by the scale. Wow. So the main axiom of gravity fails the commutative test. What is the main axiom of gravity? I have no idea, and you're not telling me. This alone should disprove gravity. Why? The fact that you are stupid and can't do any math does not disprove gravity. It only means that you're a moron who has no clue what he's talking about. Force equals the constant of gravity times mass times blah blah blah, three-dimensional length. Three-dimensional length between them squared. A length cannot be three-dimensional. A length is one-dimensional. It has one dimension, length. So every object pulls every other object. The dimensional problem occurs again, no. The fact that you don't understand mathematics does not disprove anything. A constant is what is used to fill in the gaps. No. It is used to connect what we observe with the... Oh, how the hell am I supposed to put this? We observe these quantities here. We observe this result. There's a constant involved. This happens all the time, and it is not simply because we don't understand it. It is because of the units that we assign. Okay? Physicists know about this problem. Yeah, well, if you tell them about it, they will know that you're stupid, yes? They created gravity waves and shell modeling to compensate for the dimensionless mass. There is still no such thing as a dimensionless mass. It has the dimension of mass. What is your... But gravity is still dimensionless. No, I don't even know what that means, because gravity is not... How the hell do I even phrase this? Gravity is a phenomenon. It is not a quantity. The force of gravity has the dimension of force, which is mass times acceleration. Work it out. We all know that gravity collapses under the scrutiny of the tiny. No, it's that we don't have a working theory of it. That doesn't mean gravity collapses. It means that our understanding of gravity breaks down. Quantum level objects do not show any signs of gravity. How do you know? The particle accelerators prove this. No. They have yet to find any force that works as gravity is described, because the description only applies to macroscopic scales. It's the description that is the problem. Gravity fails the multi-body test. This is going to be hilarious. Gravity can only compute the force between two objects. Any equation that uses a sum of objects fails in this way. First, the two objects' force is computed when the third body is computed with the resultant of the first two bodies. Then that resultant is computed with the fourth body. That's how summation works. The problem is that the distance between object 1 and 2 is not evaluated in the next iteration. No, because you use the center of a mass between those two objects, because it's simpler and it works. But having multiple bodies in the system makes it very, very complicated. So it's going to be a simplification. This doesn't mean that it doesn't work. It doesn't mean that gravity doesn't exist. It doesn't mean that gravity fails the test. You haven't even demonstrated that you understand the test. Gravity and complex system. Let's look at a hurricane that's traveling over the ocean. The spinning winds cause rotation in the ocean. The low pressure of the storm causes a bulge upwards in the ocean. Heat and... well, not really. It has to do with it. It's that it doesn't press down as much. Heat and pressure are the two main variables of this system. As the temperature, and what causes the pressure? As the temperature increases, it decreases the pressure of the storm, causing an increase in intensity of the storm. The heated air is forced up the eye wall. This is an example of a temperature-pressure force on density. It is not possible for gravity to describe this system with or without spheres. Actually, you need gravity to have the pressure, because what is the force? What force is pulling the air toward the Earth? This is just hilariously moronic. Questions posed by others. Okay. The rain falls because of gravity. Rain falls because as cold water, it's more dense or less buoyant than the surrounding air. Yes, but how does that matter when you don't have gravity? The water is pulled down effectively harder than the air is. So, how do you not get this? It's the helium balloon again, except, well, it's the opposite of that. The rain occurs because of water vapor cooling, temperature closer to the dew point. Yes, that's one way of looking at density and buoyancy. What? The rain formation in itself is a very complex phenomenon. Well, yes. What the hell? What the hell does this have to do with gravity? The ascending motion of air is driven by gravity on all parts of the atmosphere. No, the ascending motion of air is due to changes in temperature. The air heats at the ground and rises. And why would that be? As it rises, it cools and becomes liquid again. The liquid water is more dense than the surrounding air. Yes, but what difference would that make if you didn't have a force pulling on it? The ascending motion is also affected by the Coriolis force. There are only 4 forces: nuclear, magnetism, electricity, and heat. These are the only forces that have been experimentally shown. I left something out. Gluon, nuclear. W boson, magnetism. Z boson, electricity. And photon, heat. That's right, the W and Z bosons convey the electromagnetic force, now all of a sudden. And photons convey heat, which is a force. As for the Coriolis force, that's called a fictitious force. It is a phenomenon that occurs when you look at the Earth, which is a rotating system, and you simplify that and say that, oh, it's stationary, it's the world around it that rotates instead. This simplifies the mathematics, but in order to compensate for the fact that you're completely distorting reality, you have to add a Coriolis force and a centrifugal force. And things like, what's it called? Force of inertia can also appear here. And this has to do with creating mathematical models that are, well, simplifications of something that's a lot more complex, actually. You need to compensate, but you can actually prove mathematically that it gives you the same results. That's why it's usable. This motion is also affected by the detailed geometry of the hurricane. The motion is the geometry of the cyclone. Geometry is a snapshot in time of an object. Doesn't have to be. There's 4-dimensional geometry. The whole system is buoyancy. Buoyancy is only fluid dynamics. As a matter of opinion, everything is fluid dynamics. What the hell? These changes of g, gravitational constants, try to mimic the evidence. Just change the constant and you will get what you want to see. Yeah, when the evidence changes, your theory has to be updated. It's called science. Yet suppress gravity and there are no hurricanes anymore. Thank you for pointing this out. One cannot suppress gravity. Gravity is not real. Well, you just suppressed it. It's an old model of how objects move that matches reality. And you're not proposing any other model that explains this. Evidence has forced major changes in gravity. Yes, it's called science. There is no supporting evidence of a graviton. Not yet, anyway. That doesn't mean it can't exist, but it's like the Higgs boson, which has been found. Something that was built to try to explain interactions, but it does not. What? Silly paradoxes created by gravity. Black holes are easily disproven by Crothers at plasmaresources.com. Plasma universe. Really? And oh, black holes are not easily disproven when you consider the fact that they exist. We can predict what effects they have, we can look for those effects. There are no other models that explain those effects. The question is, what exactly are black holes? How do they work? Is black hole even an appropriate name for it? That's a different issue. Wormholes / time travel. How are they silly? We don't know how they work. And they are predictions not of gravity, but of general relativity, which we know is incomplete. Parallel universes. This doesn't actually have to do with gravity specifically, and it's not a paradox. I don't see how the existence of parallel universes is in any way a contradiction of anything, or doesn't fit in with something else. Relativity, which we know to be correct as long as we're talking about the macroscopic scale. Flat universe. Actually, every shape of the universe has to do with the geometry of the universe, and that is general relativity, because that is the theory that deals with the geometry of space-time. So complaining about the universe being flat means, well, okay, so what shape does it have? Well, you're still talking about general relativity. Graviton decay. How is that a paradox? Higgs boson, how is that a paradox? Kepler's 3 laws, that are entirely dependent on gravity, are more in line with how the planets orbit the sun. Yes! That's what they're supposed to describe you. This is because of the sun's motion around the galaxy. What? And oh, what causes the sun's motion around the galaxy? This causes the elliptical shape of the orbit, not gravity. No, gravity doesn't cause the elliptical shape of the orbit. It's related to it, but gravity is what keeps it in orbit. Gravity cannot explain 3-body interactions. You've already said so, you're still wrong. If the equation has a g in it, then it is a 0-point mass system, and that does not exist in the universe. What are you talking about? 0-point mass. You do understand that the center of mass is not actually what has the mass. It's just that the mass can be thought of as being concentrated there because it makes the math a hell of a lot simpler. And it still gets the right result. So why make things more complicated than it has to be? No one is saying that something that has no radius can have mass. That is not necessary. The rules of the universe are simple. Well, have a look at quantum mechanics and try saying that again. An atom's position in a system is based upon its density in relation to the surrounding densities and the changes in magnetism, electricity, and temperature. Yes, but why would density matter if nothing is pulling its mass? Density is the most important function in determining the position of an object. Actually, no. Only if it is surrounded by other stuff. The moon's density is not going to be useful in calculating where it is. The moon's density does not explain why it is where it is. Density is the vibration intensity within a volume in relation to the density of the surrounding medium. No, that's not what density is. Density is mass per unit volume. You want to disprove gravity? Here's an idea. You can start by taking high school physics. See ya.